Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to No Game Schedule, the show where we talk about sports even when there are no games scheduled. And whether you're joining us on WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, or Spotify or YouTube, we thank you oh so very much for watching. I'm John Massey, joined alongside Caleb Bernard and Matt Lamsky. It is hot here in Indiana. It's 90 degrees, and I think the reason that is because of the Indiana Pacers have clinched their ticket to the NBA Finals. We're going to talk about that and more today. But first, let's begin with asking everyone how they're doing. Caleb, how are you, sir? You're in the Chicago. You're in the what do we call? You're in the Chicago Ofrenda. That's what we're calling your room. It's just a lot of Chicago sports going on.
Living the life. Living the life. Went to Wrigley the other day, so good time.
That was good. How much did that cost you?
I'd rather
one of your limbs, Caleb. He'd rather not.
There's a reason you only see a top half of me.
Yeah, exactly. Matt Lamsky, you are in a millennial office setting right now. How are you, sir?
I'm in NGS headquarters.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna need at least 10,000.
Okay, you made 10,000. That's great. Let's go in 20.
We gotta start looking forward. Who was I talking to the other day? Oh yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine who she legit does the ice water baths in the morning, on the face baths. And I go, do you rub the banana peel on your face too? She goes, well, I do eat a banana every day. And I'm like, the jokes write themselves at this point. I feel like the jokes are writing themselves. but let's get right into it. Let's start with the NBA Finals. The Indiana Pacers defeat the New York Knicks in 6 games to move on to the NBA Finals, and the Oklahoma City Thunder just obliterate the Minnesota Timberwolves in 5. OKC, UFC, KFC, Thunder in 5. And so our NBA Finals is set, our 2025 NBA Finals. A lot of people are saying that this is going to be not an entertaining finals because it's 2 small market teams. I, on the other hand, think this is going to be a super entertaining finals because these are 2 very, very entertaining teams to watch. Caleb, let's start with you here. Do you think it's going to be an entertaining series?
I think it's going to be lopsided towards OKC. The Knicks series was entertaining to watch, but it was just kind of like watching a train wreck. Once you saw them collapse and they just kept shooting themselves in the foot. Indy had a hold of them, and like an injured animal in a gator's mouth. They weren't going to let them go. So, but this one, I have a lot of hope for OKC to win this.
Yeah, Matt, are you echoing that? I know, Matt. I know you're probably the biggest Pacers fan out of all of us, even though we're all from Indiana. Most of us here are Bulls fans, but are you with Caleb on that? You think this is just a pretty easy series for the Thunder?
Listen, man, all I'm saying, don't be shocked when the Pacers run the series. They will win it all. They have something to actually play for. Obviously, Jim Irsay passed away say a couple weeks ago. I think it was game 4 or game 5. It might even been game 1 of that series. But he passed away. Funeral was a couple weeks ago, or I think this past week. And they actually have something to play for. Jim Irsay, big guy in the community for Indy. But I also just think it comes down to depth. I believe Kevin Garnett was on a podcast recently, and he said something along the lines of that the big 3 or the 3-star Superman teams are gone. It's not a thing anymore. Now it's about super depth. And I truly believe that the Pacers have more depth.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that a lot in the New York Knicks series, which we're going to get to what happened with the New York Knicks in depth in a couple of minutes. But I don't know. I'm gonna have to disagree with that. I don't think that the Pacers have more depth than the Thunder. I think they're pretty equal. The Thunder got a deep team, man. The Thunder got an incredibly deep team. I mean, first of all, you got top 5 defensive guards in the league coming off the bench in Alex Caruso. I mean, I don't care how old he is. You have an NBA Finals champion, defensive player, Alex Caruso coming off the bench. Who's the other guy who comes in after him? Who's the back-to-back point guards? I can't think of his name. But OKC's got a lot of guys. OKC's got a lot of dudes who I think can match the Pacers' depth. That's why I think this is going to be such an entertaining series. Now, I don't have a select winner, right? I'm going to lean more towards OKC, but I think this is a super long series. People who are saying it's going to be in 5, going to be in 4. I don't think they understand what the Pacers are capable of. Yeah, OKC won a lot of games and they were dominant all year, but the way the Thunder won games is the same way that the Pacers have been winning games the past 2 months. And it's just they're a super deep team. Since the All-Star break, this has been one of the best teams in basketball. Speaking of depth, though, let's change really quickly here. Speaking of depth, we kind of said it was going to happen. I wish Ant was here. I wish Ant was here because, my God, me and him have been going back and forth about this for the last 2 months or so. My Anthony Hudson impression. Hey, man, you can't keep saying, all that stuff about Tom Thibodeau, Tibbs. They made it. They're in the Eastern Conference Finals. Tom Thibodeau was fired yesterday. Today is Tuesday. Or no, it was today. It's fired today. Correct? My days are messed
yes.
up. Tom Thibodeau was fired today, June 3rd. 2025 of year of our Lord and Savior. I called it. I'm going on record. I called it. I said it was going to happen, and it did. Caleb, your reaction?
Not surprised. I'm kind of shocked it happened. I mean, it feels like they just lost, like yesterday? How soon it happened, I feel like they've been plotting on him. They've definitely been plotting. If Tibbs does not take us to the promised land, we have to get rid of him. So just how soon they did it was a shock to me.
Yeah, Matt, you and I have kind of been saying this. You've been on my side as we've had this conversation, and I do appreciate that. Matt, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget where you were during the Tom Thibodeau conversation. But this has been I don't think anyone should be surprised by this. Do you?
No, not at all. I truly believe, though, that the part of the reason why he was fired, dude, Karl Anthony Towns is just not the player with him. This is the second time Karl Anthony Towns has gotten Tom Thibodeau fired. He is not a Tom Thibodeau player. He got him fired from the Minnesota Timberwolves, and now he's got him fired from the Knicks. He is not a Tom Thibodeau player. Those two will never win a championship together, and that's fine. Getting off the Tom Thibodeau subject, but staying on the Knicks head coaching subject, I do believe any other head coach can take them to the championship. I don't know about win it all. Depends on, obviously, who's going on with the West. I mean, easy to say OKC will be next year. Easy to say could be Denver. Who knows? We don't know injuries. It's very far in advance to a year from now. But sticking with the East on the Knicks, I mean, I think they can get past Indiana. Indiana was just really good this year.
Well, you got to listen, the East this upcoming season is about to be the worst it's probably ever been in maybe the last 25 years, right? The Celtics, no one knows what they're going to do. I don't expect them to do anything. The Celtics are going to have to make changes because of the second apron, because of the salary cap. They're not going to have Jason Tatum. The Bucks are probably losing Giannis, and let's be realistic, he's going to a West Coast team because he wants to go to a team who's going to be able to win a championship, and no teams in the East are going to do it. I agree with you. I think the two teams who were just in the Eastern Conference Finals have the best opportunity to win the East next year. And Matt, like you just said, it's so far in the future. It is so far in the future. But the Indiana Pacers have finally, I want to point out, the Pacers started 10-15, how they started the season. Tyrese Halliburton had an injury or had surgery in the offseason. And so most of the team had to take time to build their conditioning and build a rhythm because Tyrese Halliburton wasn't playing to his max level. And so now that he is, I mean, look what happened post All-Star break, as I just mentioned. But yeah, I think the Pacers will be really good next year. And I think if you just find the Knicks right now, I don't even think the Knicks should make any changes. I think Karl Anthony Towns had the best season of his career this past season in New York. I really think that. I really do. The problem is Tom Thibodeau just does not use a bench, and he burns out his starting five. And his 6-man, sure, but he just kills his starting five. And it's getting to a point now where a couple of guys on that team are getting old. Cat is getting old. I hate to be the one. He's not a young player no more. He's coming into his 9th year in the league. This season was. I mean, Caleb, look it up for me. How many years has Karl Anthony Towns been in the league? It's been a long time. And so
I think he's 20.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. I think this is just. I'm not going to put it on the relationship between Thibodeau and Cat. I just think it just Tom Thibodeau his formula doesn't work. It just doesn't work to me.
29 years old.
Yeah, but how many years has he been in the league?
I do want
His
to
nickname's the Big
clarify.
Boy Bigger.
Go ahead, Matt.
I do want to clarify. I don't think that it's inherently a relationship between Cat and Tibbs. I just think that's an ironic correlation. And I want to talk about more correlations as we move to a different sport eventually throughout this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I do think that's an ironic correlation that it happened. It's happened before. I mean, GMs, front offices, they make mistakes. I think that this was a mistake now, but when the signing actually happened of the head coach, I truly believe it was a good decision. They just got beat by a deep Pacer bench. That's all it is. I mean, Halliburton didn't have a good first half. I mean, watching that elimination game, I think in the first half he only scored 3 points or something like that. He didn't get many. He might have got 5. But towards the last 2 minutes is when he started heating up, and he got his nice 20. And then obviously Pascal Siakam, he was just having a great series. Halliburton got them through a lot of tough games there in the end, but Pascal Siakam was bringing up that caboose when Halliburton couldn't produce in those first couple quarters.
Dude, people, Caleb, I'll send it to you on this one. People don't understand. Pascal Siakam is the best scorer on the Pacers. They don't get it. They do not get it at all. Caleb, here's a question for you, though, and you'll start this one off. How weird is it to you that 2 years in a row now, for the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, the best player on the team did not get the MVP award?
I think it shows a shift in the game. It's not about superstars anymore. It's about who's around you.
Mm-hmm.
It's about depth and your sidekick. It's not about the bus drivers, but who's on the bus.
It's not about that's a shirt right there. That's a shirt, Caleb. Once again, no game schedule merchandise is entirely made by Caleb Bernard. Not about the bus driver, it's about who's on the bus. That's a really good point. And that brings me to my next topic of conversation. We're going to switch off from the finals here. We're sticking with the NBA, though. You look at some of the biggest name superstars right now. We're coming close to the finals being over with, so the only thing we're going to be able to talk about pretty soon is trades, movements, free agency signings, right? If you look at some of the biggest names in the NBA right now and some moves you're expecting are going to happen, right? For the two of you, what's the one guy you're looking for this offseason on whether or not they're making a move? Matt, you can go first.
Obviously, Giannis. I mean, he's the biggest name out there. I think it's funny. I don't know if you guys saw the Kyle Kuzma video on Instagram, but he was boxing, and I don't want to knock anybody like that on terms of a professional athlete doing some cardio, because boxing is really good cardio. But he was commenting, "Don't leave, Giannis. I miss you." And all I could think about was, man, if you would just put up more shots instead of boxing like Jake Paul, he might not leave. I mean, he's kind of part of the issue.
From this moment forward, by the way, I said this 2 months ago. We're sticking on the Pacers. I said this 2 months ago. We are no longer referring to it as the Tony Snell stat line. We are referring to it as the Kyle Kuzma stat line. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Kyle Kuzma put up no points, no rebounds, no assists, no steals, no blocks, and 20 plus minutes played in a playoff game. He did that. Okay, so I agree with you, Matt. Maybe put the gloves down.
Maybe there's a different type of sport you could be practicing. But I mean, Giannis is the name out there that's looking to change.
You know what he should be practicing? Caleb, say it for me. You know what I want?
Oh no, I don't know.
Oh my God, put the fries in the bag, bro. That's
Oh, I was thinking flip the burger.
That's what Kyle Kuzma needs to be practicing.
You know what he needs to be practicing? Chinese.
yeah. Get ready to learn Chinese, Kyle Kuzma. You are getting shipped off overseas this offseason. Caleb, how about you? What's a big name you're looking for this offseason?
Oh, okay. I'm thinking, right? There was talks, but then they started playing well, and then the talks kind of disappeared. But I'm still interested to see where or what happens to Stephen Curry. Right, 37 years old, injury prone. There were conversations, right? They got rid of Clay. Man. They got rid of Clay. It's not. If someone offered you a boatload,
I think the Golden State Warriors. I think the Golden State Warriors are like a top 10 sports franchise like worth in the world, right? Like Lakers and Celtics are up there, the Cowboys are up there. Like, what's the big soccer team? I don't know. Is it still Real Madrid?
Real.
I think the Warriors are up there with like most. Dude, they could never get rid of him.
I'll raise a question here. There's talks of Giannis possibly going to Golden State. Caleb, you bring up how Stephen Curry might be on the move. Do we think Stephen Curry goes to Milwaukee?
No.
I agree. I don't think so.
Oh, no.
I don't think Steph Curry goes anywhere.
But all I'm saying is...
I don't think Curry moves.
Here's like the difficult part. Part about the Giannis conversation. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we didn't think that Luka Doncic was touchable, right? We didn't think... Crazier things have happened, right? Well, if you don't know, maybe the Adam Silver dark arts touches someone's like, you know what, the Lakers just need a little bit more help. What would you send the Golden State? I don't know what the Lakers would conjure up to send up north to go get Stephen Curry. But I'm sure someone will be sleeping around for him.
Here's the thing. That's what I was just about to say, Caleb, and like you bring up a good point. It's like, if you're Giannis, it's a really tough situation to be in, because if you're Giannis and you want to get traded, any team you're going to is going to have to give up a lot of key players of their rotation and picks. And then guess what? They are going to be in the same boat in 3 years. They're not going to have any young players. They're not going to have any draft picks. They're not going to have any capital. So if I'm Giannis, If I'm Giannis, I'm sticking it with the Bucks for. I think he's got 2 more years left on his contract. I think he's 30, 31, right? He's got a lot. And a guy like him, his physique, he's got a lot of time left, right? That's just like the problem. That's like the thing I don't get. It's like there's just so much that you're gonna have to give up for him, and it's like, is it really worth it at that point? Like, for me personally, Caleb, you just asked the question, like, hey, what do you have to give up for Giannis? Dude, the only team in my mind who can possibly get Giannis right now is the Spurs. We're just going to give you 40 draft picks and 3 bench players. They're all under the age of 25. Here you go. Take them, right? That's what you have to give up for Giannis. You can't give up big pieces. Go ahead, Matt.
I do think that OKC could get him. The problem with that is Giannis is a massive contract. And you're going to have people right now, the main 3 core right now are going to want massive contracts, but OKC does have the picks and the depth to get Giannis. And if let's just say this experiment doesn't work this year, right? Let's just say the Pacers do win. I think they will, but let's just say the Pacers do win. OKC doesn't win. If I'm OKC, screw it. I'm going to get Giannis for 1 year, and then I'll dump whoever I need to. You know what I mean? You have the picks.
That is legitimately the Kevin Durant trade reincarnated. That is legitimately the Kevin.
You know what? You have the picks. It's a good idea. Just go get it for 1 year. And again, if that doesn't work, you're still not going to give up those 3 core. Like, you're not giving up SGA or Chet Holmgren or any. Like, you're probably going to have to give up your first rounders, but you're not going to give up anything really too bad. You'll still be in a good place. You know what I mean?
I mean, you're going to listen. If you don't have picks, you're going to have to give up starters. You will have to give up starters, right? Luckily, OKC wouldn't have to do that if possible, right?
They could literally give them a whole new team with picks.
Yeah, for sure. So, Caleb, you say Stephen Curry, even though I think that's absolutely insane. I don't even know where you pulled that from. If I'm being completely and totally honest with you. I'm gonna give an idea though. How about I think we should be on the lookout for Jaylen Brown. I think it's something you might have to keep an eye out for, because the Celtics are in a bad spot right now. They're in a very bad spot right now. The money is not good for them. They are overpaying on a lot of guys who they really do not need. It worked out. Listen, they got a ring. They got the championship that they wanted. They're leading, the NBA history with rings, so they got what they wanted. So at that point, do you really need Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday? Do you need them both? I think Kristaps Porzingis total has played like 60 games. Total. That's 2 years. That's bad. That's Zion numbers. Right?
Load management.
Yeah. Zion's been dealing with some load management. That's for sure. Different kind of load. Caleb, do you agree? Do you think the Celtics? Do you think we should maybe keep an eye on Jaylen Brown? Do you hear it, Caleb? Do you at least hear it?
I hear it. No, I hear it. I just, I mean, after the injury to Tatum, I don't know how expendable he would be at this point in time. Uh, I, I don't know who you look at. I mean, you just said it, but like a lot of those, I mean, Al Horford's going to go soon. I don't know. You could maybe try to
Yeah, he's
slide
on his last.
KP
He's on
into
his last
like
contract. He's got to be done. Yeah.
like you have to finagle KP to be center or something. Like I don't know. Just that whole roster is very.
He's not physical enough for it.
No, yeah, no.
That brings up
I can see someone from
that
Boston.
brings up a good point where it's like, I definitely think someone from Boston's going. I think it's going to be Jaylen Brown. No, I wouldn't say I wouldn't think it's Jaylen Brown. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Jaylen Brown. That kind of brings back a good point talking about if we're going back and talking about the Knicks. Like the Knicks were a team who were constructed, their sole purpose was to beat the Boston Celtics. Okay, if you look at getting Karl Anthony Towns, okay, what is Karl Anthony Towns bad at? Okay, defense. What is he really good at? Perimeter defense and shooting threes. That's funny. That's exactly what Kristaps Porzingis does. All right. I mean, Porzingis is a little bit. I want to say a little bit. He's a lot better of a rim protector than Cat is. But the Knicks team was made to beat the Celtics. They beat the Celtics, right? As controversial as you want to say it is that they beat the Celtics, they did it. And so that's the position they're in. We're about at the 20 or so minute mark here of the episode. There's a lot more that Matt wants to talk about. There's a lot more we can possibly talk about. So why don't we just go ahead and get into that? Not only do we have the NBA Finals set, we also have the Stanley Cup Finals set. And some people think that this Stanley Cup Finals is bad for the sport. I am not one of those people. I think this is a great thing because we are getting a rematch of the 2024 Stanley Cup Finals. We are watching Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers take each other on once again. And as always, I'm going to hand the reins of the episode off to Matt. Matt, just whatever you want, go for it.
This finals is a little, I don't want to say superstitious, but if you follow hockey even a little bit, I mean, ESPN now owns a big chunk of hockey coverage. But you'll see some similarities between a couple Canadian greats who McDavid, I mean, he's probably not better than Gretzky, but arguably he could be just as good, if not better, than Sidney Crosby. I mean, Crosby has obviously cups under his belt and some gold medals, but so does McDavid now. But I don't remember the exact years, but Gretzky won his first cup off the Islanders. But previously, the year before that, he lost to the Islanders. Now, Sidney Crosby won his first cup off of Detroit Red Wings, the Dead Wings. And the year before that, he lost to the Dead Wings. McDavid, year before this year, in his finals, he lost to the Florida Panthers. And he lost to a strong Florida Panthers. They were a really good team. I do want to point out, they went to 7 games. They took a strong Florida Panthers team to 7 games.
After being down 3-0.
Yes. And this year, we're getting a stronger Edmonton team and just as strong, if probably stronger, Florida Panthers team. With two big names between Seth Jones and Brad Marchand being added. But obviously, you have Victor Arvidsson being added and Jeff Skinner being added to the lines for Oilers. There's that similarity. Another similarity that I believe I saw earlier was in all those years, a major event happened. And I believe that major event had to do with a tragedy, but I don't remember which one. So I'm not going to get too far into it. But every year, something else happened as well. And I think that this year, McDavid is coming back. Not just for the cup, but I think he's coming back for blood. And I think we're going to see a whole different side of Connor McDavid and Draisaitl. And I mean, it's hard to say real quick about, I want to talk about the goaltending because that's been a problem for Edmonton, but also not a problem.
It's a coin toss, but go ahead, get the intro. We'll get into it.
Bobrovsky has not had to face a lot of good competition. I truly believe that the East was not super strong this year. Obviously, they had to face Toronto, which say what you will about Toronto. They have some shooters. They got some great offensive weapons, but they dismantled Toronto. They tore them apart limb by limb. And then you get the Canes in the Eastern Conference Finals, who hadn't won a game in 15 games in their Eastern Conference Finals for the past like 4 times they've been in there. I'm sorry. Oilers in 7.
Caleb, I want to point out. Listen, we see it. All right, we see the flag. All right, I want you to know that we see it. Okay, for those of you just listening on audio and aren't on the screen, Caleb has stuck a Canadian flag in his dreadlocks, like he's a French woman picking daisies out of a field and putting it in her hair. Caleb, obviously you're Matt's like 1A, you're 1B of hockey guys on this show. Give us a little bit of a monologue on what you think about this Stanley Cup Finals.
Well, let's. I mean, he built it up perfectly. Florida has only gotten stronger. Edmonton has gotten better as well. The additions of Seth Jones and Marchand, I mean, cannot be understated. Stanley Cup pedigree and a really good defenseman, no matter what you say, no matter how bad he was in the Hawks. Edmonton has been living close to the fire this entire series. I feel like that's safe to say. They haven't. I don't think they've snuffed out a series in 4 or 5. And it's been the McJesus show. It has been the McJesus. The boy, he has been absolutely on fire. He's playing better than I think he was last playoffs, which is almost like unheard of. I still got question marks about that goaltending, man. Until I see him lift a cup, I don't know what to believe about that. Now, Florida, right? We saw the Maple Leafs take him to the brink. Florida fought back. Maple Leafs. I still think Florida has it. Edmonton's good and all. It's cool. It's a nice story. McJesus and all that. He's chasing Gretzky, but that team is so well-rounded and so talented in every facet that Bob Roski can have a bad game and the defense can pick up the slack. Or the offense, they snuffed out Carolina so well, just forecheck-wise and everything. And they took the life out of Toronto. I could see him going to Rogers' place and just completely snuffing out Edmonton, like game 1 or 2, or whichever one they're going to go to. So I believe it's going to be Florida. I definitely see Matt's school of thought, though. He's more vibes. I'm more. This team is the Death Star.
Listen, here's the thing. Me and Matt both took Edmonton at the start of this playoffs, right? I believe in them. I don't know hockey like you guys. I won't even pretend to admit that I know hockey like you guys, right? You guys you're the puck boys on here on the show. You're the puck heads. And there's just something about the storyline of having a rematch, going back. You, like Matt said, you were down 3-0. You fought back to 7 games. The best player in the world wins the Conn Smythe. Or no, what's the
Conn Smythe.
It's the Conn Smythe. Wins the Conn Smythe on the losing team. That's some Jerry West type shit right there, right? And I think there's something to be said about that for them to absolutely just. They did not start the playoffs off well. They didn't. No series have they started off well. I can't even recall who their first series was. They did not start well against Vegas. Yeah, they did not start well against the Kings. They did not start well against Vegas. Not by a million light years did the Oilers start well against Vegas. Had a really good start against the Stars. Blew it. Absolutely blew it. Me and Matt were at the bar. We stopped watching because we thought the game was over with. They blew it. But this team has grit to them. And I think in hockey, more than any other sport, I think you need that, right? I think you need some sand in your skates, something to really just fire you up every single night to go out there. And I think the Oilers have that. I just don't think the Panthers have that. Now, there's a difference between having a lot of grit and having a lot of talent. Flat out, I think Florida has better talent. I think that is true. But again, there's something about this Oilers team that I think Matt shook his head there. I think Matt agrees as well. Florida's more talented, but the Oilers, they're fighting for something. Let's go into goaltending real quick. Matt, you mentioned sometimes there's great goaltending, sometimes there isn't. Matt, I think you sent us a stat a little bit ago where either it's one of two ways. Either Stuart Skinner has a shutout or he gives up like over 5.5. Matt's looking it up right now. I'll give him some time.
I'm going to go look for it.
The stat is right now, Stuart Skinner, who's the starting goalie for the Edmonton Oilers, has been shaky so far this postseason, so far this season as a whole. Caleb, I'll go to you real quick while Matt looks it up. You got to explain to me in a hockey sense. Stuart Skinner, he either goes out and has a shutout or he gives up 6 goals. What's going on? What's up with that? Mentally speaking, what's the psyche of a goaltender dealing with that?
You have to have a short memory as a goaltender, as a goalkeeper in any sport. You have to have a short memory. He must have the memory of a goldfish to go out every night and let up 6 and then have a shot the next day. Dude, Officer Bob is a bad MFer, man. I'm telling, he is just, he's a lot like, he's one of the most elite goaltenders in the league. He's been that way since he's been in the league, ever since his days in Columbus. He's just so wishy-washy that I can't choose him. I really cannot.
I'll say this about Skinner. Matt, you and I have had this conversation, right? Caleb, I think you and I have talked about it as well. But like, someone will eventually, whether it's happened already or not, if it has happened, DM us at the No Game Schedule Pod on Instagram. There's going to be a compilation of like every goal that Skinner has let up this postseason, right? I mean, there's a compilation for everything. If you look at some of these goals that he's let up, 85% of them are not his fault. Like the defense just collapsed. Matt, you and I were out at the bar, you know, having a couple brews, right? And we watched that goal from the Golden Knights game, right? 0.3 seconds remaining. Okay. Both defenders turned their back to the puck. Absolutely, like they go into the fetal position on defense, just leave Stuart Skinner out on an island, and then they go. I think wasn't it technically an own goal?
Yeah, Draisaitl put it in.
Yeah, so it's like Draisaitl. Like, what are you doing, right? You can't blame that on Skinner. Did you pull up the stat, Matthew?
I didn't pull it up. I couldn't find it, but I do remember the basis of the stat, the meat and potatoes. So basically, for every game that Stuart Skinner does not get a shutout or have a save average above, I want to say a 0.95, which is essentially he gives up 1 goal in 30 shots.
Yeah.
Yes, for every one that he does not have a shutout or he gives up a goal on like 30 shots, which like, okay, whatever. So basically, he either has a save percentage above 0.95 or below 0.80. He's either one goal or 7.
Stuart Skinner is either -1.5 or +8.5. Right? Like that's what it is.
Yes.
That's what it is. It makes no sense. So Caleb, I hear you. I really do hear you, because if you have 3 of those games in a row, I mean, you're done for. That is the series, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm gonna gamble. I'm gonna gamble that it's the 90% part.
The Oilers have shown us every series. I don't want to just point out like, oh, they've showed us a couple games. Every series, they will either go down, they'll lose bad, something. They went down 2-0 to the Kings, then they blanked them 4 straight. Then they went down to, obviously, you know, they had that heartbreaker with Dallas. They lost the first game. What did they do after that? They won the series. I mean, I don't really remember the Vegas one as much. They are a team that not only gets challenged, they like to be challenged because they like people to doubt them. They want to come back. That is a team that gets better with time. And the longer, I will say this, the longer that Florida lets the series go on, the more likely they lose the series. If it goes to 7 games, Edmonton's not losing. I don't care. Edmonton is not losing in 7 games. If it goes to 4, if they go down 3-0, yeah, they're probably going to get swept. I mean, it's hard to say that because last year, obviously, they didn't. They brought it back to 7, but they are a team that gets better with time and age. They will win the games when it matters. That is what not only a playoff team does, that is what a cup winning team does. They win the games when it matters. Who cares if you lose one at home and one away? Who cares? If you win the last game of the series, it's all that matters. It's all that matters.
I'm gonna leak our group chat real quickly here. I came across this graphic on Instagram the other day, and it was a graphic that said Corey Perry has played in 5 of the last 6 Stanley Cups, including this upcoming one. He was on the Dallas Stars in 2020. They lost to Tampa Bay. He was on the Montreal Canadiens in 2021. They lost to Tampa Bay. He was on the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2022. They lost to Colorado. He was on the Edmonton Oilers last year, lost to Florida, and he's on the Edmonton Oilers this year, also against Florida. And so here's what let me should I read Matt's text first or my text? I'll read my text first. I might as well. So I sent that chat, right? Corey Perry has played in 5 of the past 6 Stanley Cups. And I said, what an accomplishment. Get this man a beer. If you don't understand that joke, I implore you to go look up Corey Perry's bench antics. I promise you, right? However, I didn't even realize this. Matt made a really good point. Matt said, wow, he must have won at least one of those, right? Corey Perry has played in 5 of the last 6 Stanley Cups. He has not won a ring in either of those. And now maybe this is the series. Maybe the 5th time's a charm. Who knows? Caleb is 5th time a charm.
Nope. No. No. Nope. Mm-mm.
It's so crazy.
I saw Edmonton.
But I feel like I remember Corey Perry playing for another team in 2025 or 2022. I feel like Corey Perry played on another team besides the Lightning in 2022. I feel like it's coming back. The voices.
Man, I really hope he didn't have any relations with anybody's mother.
Yeah, Matthew, no, do not.
No,
that was not.
There's
I saw this today. I think Matt, you sent this to us. This one I think is incredible. For 45 consecutive years, a Jaromir Jagr teammate has played in the Stanley Cup.
So there's a little bit of a asterisk to that.
Okay.
From 1980 to 2021, it was all an NHL teammate. In 2022, he did not have an NHL teammate, but he had an Olympic teammate in there. And then every year after 2022, it's been an NHL teammate again. So if you really want to say like he had an NHL teammate, it ends at 2021, unfortunately. However, he had a teammate. I don't care. In my opinion, I think that's incredible. Jaromir Jagr is still playing hockey. I don't know if you guys knew that. He is
like overseas, like the KHL.
Yes, he owns a hockey team. It's some minor league team. He is playing at like 56 years old because apparently if he doesn't play, the team will go under. So it's a weird situation, unfortunately, but he's still playing and he's still producing. Apparently, I think he leads the team in points.
Sounds like he's better management.
That's because he's also the bookkeeper. He's actually keeping stats, so he's just giving himself. I scored 5 points today. Yamir, you didn't get any ice time. 6 points.
There's a gentleman in Cedar Lake who has a Edmonton Oilers flag. It's been up all year.
Is it you?
No. It's just a random. Like I pass his house or their house going on. Going home.
Quick sidebar. This has nothing to do with sports. By the way. I'm not gonna name drop because I don't want people to harass this location. I went to this brewery in Northwest Indiana a few days ago. And I have seen, for those of you who don't know, Caleb's dad is a professional drummer. I have seen Caleb's dad perform at this brewery. Like recently. Recently, Caleb's dad has performed at this brewery. The waitress who came up to me was new. And she was like, she didn't know that like my group has been there before. So she's like selling us on the restaurant and the brewery. And she's like, oh yeah, like we get music here all the time. And I said, oh, does... And I named the name of Caleb's dad's band. I'm like, do they play here ever? And she goes, No, I don't. I don't think they've ever performed here. I was there like a week prior, watching Caleb's dad perform. I don't know why I'm saying that on air, but that's what happened. Anyway, where do I want to take this next part here? Yeah, so this series starts Friday, I believe.
Thursday. Or no, tomorrow. Oh my God.
Thursday.
No, it starts tomorrow, Wednesday. It starts June 4th. We're recording
this episode on Tuesday night. Yeah, so it starts tomorrow. We got to go out and we got to watch that. We got to go out.
I'm telling you, game one will go to the Cats. They are a stronger team at heart. Game 1 will go to the Cats. Game 2, that's Edmonton's game.
You said that like sketchily. That's Edmonton's game.
Tomorrow it is June 4th, 7 p.m. on TNT, True TV, Max, and CBC. So make sure you tune in to watch that. Obviously, we capped off the final series. Real quick, I want to bring up a point about this. A coworker told this of mine. Caleb, I'm sure you know about this, so if you want to take over this segment, that's fine. The Champions League final, PSG won like 5-0.
Yes.
That's How does it even happen? That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
Dude, Kava. Oh,
Caleb,
my God.
Caleb, you can have a 5-minute spot on this if you want. Go ahead.
Well, okay. I hated the Champions League because none of the teams I like or dislike were in it. Like, I would rather have Arsenal in it so we can have someone to hate. But they weren't in it. PSG just got off to a really hot start. They're an offensive-minded team. They press high. They send players out. And PSG's been going for Champions League for a while now. Like, Matt, you've watched like the Man City game, the Monta, like they've been doing this for years. They've been like Charlie Brown trying to kick the football. They've been going, and their team looks really good, but it's just something crazy will happen. This year they were not messing around.
No way.
Yeah, I don't know. They called this the runway derby, right? Because it was Milan versus Paris, and what? Oh my gosh! You seen the video of Jay-Z getting kicked by Beyonce's sister? Just footprints all over Inter Milan the whole 90 minutes, just complete kicking their head in. I couldn't believe it. 22 goals in 20 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, I've never. And Inter Milan has a bunch of former Man United players. Lukaku, I know, is on there. Oh man, they had not Luke Shaw. Oh man, what was his? I think Chiesa plays there.
I got
a bunch of good players.
I have breaking news. Breaking? Do you guys remember watching Sports Science?
I've seen clips of it.
Oh yeah,
you were younger.
The guy died.
Yeah, John Brankus of Sports Science died at 54. That's sad. Sorry,
I think
Caleb.
that came out earlier today.
It just came out for me. All right, Caleb, I'm sorry. Go on.
Wow.
Go on. Sorry about that.
I was going to say, because that team's very good. Milan's very defensive with how they play. They play with they play with a 5 at the back. A lot of Italian national team players on there. I think Benjamin Pavard, World Cup winner, was on the field as well. So, but this team should not have lost 5-0. So I just don't know what in the world happened. However, there was a story that came out that a former Inter Milan president died the day of the game, and I saw this like hours before the game had started. So I don't know if you believe in jinxes or hoax or any of that stuff, but that might have something to do. Just when a former president dies of the organization. But I don't like PSG.
Real quick, I want to go back.
Personally.
I want to go back to something real quick. Yeah, I want to go back to something real quick, Caleb. Again, I'm sorry. I've cut you off twice now. I promise I'm not going to do it again after this. Matt, I want to go back a little bit. You said earlier that like some tragic event happens each Stanley Cup. Are you is Nick Castellanos going to like get on the ice during the Stanley Cup? Like, what are you referring to? That what you?
There is something that happens. I don't know what it is. Now I'm beginning to think maybe it's not hockey, but maybe it's basketball. There's something, some tragic event that happens every year, a certain every 20 years or 18 years or something like that. And Like they won like a Canadian team or like a Canadian player won every time. I don't remember.
Caleb, I'm not going
Why
to
are
cut
you
you,
so
Caleb. I'm so
ominous
sorry.
about
You
this?
have to understand, though.
This is almost creepy.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
Plus,
That's why I had to
he's
cut
out of
you
focus
off.
too. So it's like
He sounds like he sounds like it sounds like Matt's gonna do something. Like Matt's gonna perform a tragedy or something. Like Matt's gonna like Matt's gonna make the coin toss not go in the Chicago Bulls' way for again, right? Like that's
A sacrifice needs to be made.
Look at that looks too in the face too. All right,
you don't like PSG, Caleb. Why not?
I personally do not like PSG because they came in with a lot of money, right? They bought they okay. So PSG is backed by Qatar, who have a lot of oil money, so a lot of money is spent. Blah blah. I just see Matt's face. I can't focus. So a bunch of oil money comes in. They raise the prices on players because they can just spend whatever money they want. It's monopoly money. We'll spend 200 million on Neymar, or we'll spend 100 million on God knows who. So they spent about I wonder how much they spent. It has to be upwards of $1 billion trying to get the talent they wanted to win this thing. And the irony is Mbappe, who went to Real Madrid, left PSG in order to win this trophy. So there's that storyline of Mbappe leaving this team. There's a Marquinhos who's been on the team for about like 12 years now. He finally got the trophy he's been wanting. Donnarumma.
If I had a nickel every single time Mbappe lost a major soccer award, I'd have 2 nickels. Just saying.
Hakimi finally got his trophy. I like Nino Mendes. He's pretty good. French sensation Doué. He's going to be pretty good in the next coming years. He's definitely a player to watch out for. That midfield is absolutely atrocious on PSG. It was a good game, but for all the wrong reasons. It wasn't competitive. It was just like, okay, they're just gonna keep scoring and laying on. I think this happened in Berlin, right?
We're like, yeah, Caleb, give me a history lesson on this. I just looked it up too. I remember there was like a super big deal that one of the reasons Mbappe turned down his like $1 billion contract with like Saudi was because he wanted to go because he wasn't signing with PSG. He wasn't gonna like here's how I see it or I remember it. He wasn't signing with PSG, so the Saudis like threw him $1 billion. He turned it down and then went to Real Madrid. Is that like what happened with that? With this?
So his contract with PSG, I think, was up. Right. So any team can put a bid in for him. Herber Bergen and Jurgen FC could have put a bid in for him if we really wanted to.
What a throwback.
We did.
So
for those new listeners on the show who didn't listen to our original episodes, we actually did formally start a soccer club called Hermerbergen. Caleb, say it.
Hermerbergen and Jurgen FC.
Hermerbergen and Jurgen FC. We did in fact pitch players. We never got a response. That is a real thing. Look it up. Caleb, go on.
So in the transfer window, any team can send a bid in for them. And this was during the time where the Saudi League was basically trying to get any player with any name value whatsoever. I think they had just gotten Ronaldo, and maybe Neymar was in the works. Mbappe was the hottest young prospect in world football. And he was 25, maybe 26, whatever. Just coming off that World Cup, I think. And he had the world in his hands, right? He could control PSG, basically the nation's team in the capital, basically be a god in France. He can go to Real Madrid, try to conquer the Champions League, because at that point PSG just wasn't going to win a Champions League because they tried everything. They brought Neymar, Messi, blah blah. Or You could make a lot of money in Saudi Arabia, just chill out in the cool air conditioned skyscrapers, go to the pool, play scrubs, and look real good for like $1 billion. I think the time, what was it? I think the time it was like you can play here for like a year and then bounce. Like I don't think it was a long contract, but it was a lot of money for a contract like that. And I think he went to make he went for the personal accolades instead of the money. So, but yeah, that was a thing at one point where it could have been. None of this could have happened.
Yeah, I remember that was a big deal. I remember that was a really big deal. I mean,
let's take let's take a moment. Yes, he went for the personal accolades. Let's not act like he's not making $750 million a year.
He's making a lot of money, man. No, you're right.
Let's be real.
Matt pulled up. Matt got out that, like in a Looney Tunes cartoon where like the characters walking with a rope tied to them. Matt took that rope and went, yeah, let's go back to real life here.
Yeah, wait a minute.
$750 million. Matt, honestly, thank you so much for adding that because I would have believed whatever spiel Caleb just went on.
Okay, Real Madrid is going to pay him a lot regardless, but you can't win the Champions League in Saudi Arabia. You can't win Ballon d'Or in Saudi Arabia. Like it just doesn't happen. So, like no one in the MLS is going to win the Ballon d'Or, like or China for that matter. So Real Madrid, he gets most likely the best of both worlds, where he gets the money. And can
I'm
be
looking at this article. It's old. It's from a few years ago. I'm looking at a report from a few years ago that said PSG reportedly offered Kylian Mbappe a $1.1 billion lifetime contract. For our American listeners, for our international listeners, we do have some, if you can believe it. You get it. For our American listeners who don't get it, soccer is like the biggest sport in the world. We just don't celebrate it here in America. So if you're wondering, if you're like myself wondering where these teams getting money from, they got it. They have the money. They have it. They're all good.
Yes.
All
next year we're going to be covering a lot of soccer in the summer.
Oh yeah. Oh
yes,
my gosh.
We are going to the FIFA World Cup. I'm telling you right now. The three of us in this call right now. We are going to a FIFA World Cup. I don't care what teams it is. We're going.
I hear it.
Caleb's doing his financial analysis in his head right now. Ah, man, that's a lot of shifts at Dollar General.
No, the numbers are flying around right now, bro. I got cars to pay off.
I know. The numbers. He's like Black Ops 2. He's just seeing like figures just float in front of his face. All right. Before we wrap this show up, is there anything you guys want to add? Anything we didn't talk about?
I don't think so. I mean,
I do.
There's one thing. Caleb, go ahead. You seem optimistic about this.
I know.
The Chicago Fire have finally gotten a home in Chicago. Yeah. They have finally locked down an official home.
I didn't understand it. I know. So where are they going?
Let me preface this. So every good team in the MLS has their home. Atlanta United has Mercedes-Benz, and they pack it out. LA Galaxy has their home. They pack it out. Chicago has been using Soldier Field as their home field, and they don't sell. It's just a bad place to play. So I don't know what
time they sell. There's only one time they sell. And it's because they play Inter Miami. That's it.
Yes,
they don't sell that stadium. Messi sells that stadium.
Exactly.
So I always felt part of the issue is they needed a home. They always did well in Bridgeview at Toyota Park, or whatever they call it now. But they needed a home closer to Chicago. They needed a place that was more homey. From what I read, it's going to be somewhat close to the Loop, like south of the Loop.
The stadium will be located. The stadium will be located along the Chicago River and south of Roosevelt Road. Capacity is expected to be approximately 22,000 for games, with that number increasing for other events. Okay, Caleb, let me cut you off real quick. I'll take over here. I'm just going to read this excerpt here, and I'm going to applause afterward. There's going to be an applause break after I say this. The stadium will be privately financed. With no public funds used, it will cost an estimated $650 million. Stop making taxpayers pay for your stadiums. I'm sick of it. I I am sick of it. Do not make. There is so much more. Listen, it's John's serious speech time. Listen, this is a sports talk show. I recognize it's sports. It's a silly game. We are talking about professional athletes, grown men and women who get paid to play a child sport. There is a lot of things that we can fix in this country with tax dollars. Building a stadium for a sports team is not one of them. And here in Chicago, we have dealt with this issue for a very long time, and I'm really tired of hearing about it. So anytime I see the words privately funded across a new stadium or new arena announcement, you get an automatic applause on this show. Caleb, back to you.
Privately funded with donations from the fans.
Yeah, by taxpayers. Yeah. We will not be using taxpayer dollars. However, there will be a certain percentage on everyone's income this upcoming year.
We call it a donation.
It's
not a tax. It is an amendment. Go ahead, Caleb.
So I will say the Chicago Fire franchise, well, at least me specifically, I've been disenfranchised by the team ever since they did the logo stuff. They changed everything, they blah, blah, and they tried to fix it, blah, blah. So I feel like this is a step in the right direction because Chicago should have a good soccer team. There's no reason why the third biggest market in America have a good soccer team, a quality field to play soccer at. So it's a step in the right direction.
It's a very ethnic city as well. It's a very ethnic city. Like, we should have a good soccer team.
It just makes sense.
Soccer's huge in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
There's so huge. Yeah. I think Chicago. Someone's gonna fact check this. There's Little Italy, Chinatown, right? I think Chicago has more like ethnic neighborhoods than any other city in the U.S.
There is more.
I think I saw that one time.
This is the Chicagoland area, and I'll dive into a little bit of Northwest Indiana. Obviously, because that's where we're from.
Sure.
Yeah. There are as many Polish people in this area. Like, the only place we're second to is Warsaw, Poland.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Chicago is a melting pot, and I agree with you, Caleb. I think we should have a good soccer team here. I'm looking at the sketch right now. I don't know if you guys have seen the sketching of it. The concept art. I like it. It's really cool. It's a big rectangle. Open air, right? It kind of gives me that old school Soldier Field vibes with the columns, right? I do want to add real quickly though, if you go up and look Chicago Fire up on Google, you're actually gonna get the TV show, not the sports team. For those of you who don't know, there's a TV show called Chicago Fire. It's currently 14 seasons in, and they are more popular than the MLS team. That kind of goes to your point, Caleb.
Want to add that I believe the grounds where they're building that, the original person who was going to build the stadium there was Jerry Reinsdorf. He was going to put the White Sox stadium there. I believe that those were the same grounds.
Spot?
I believe so, because I saw a report. I don't know if it was on Twitter or Facebook or something, but it said if you're Jerry Reinsdorf and any White Sox fans, you have to feel pretty slighted because I guess the announcement that the Chicago Fire gave kind of threw the White Sox under the bus, which good.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Jerry Reinsdorf is also driving that bus and has been running over White Sox fans and the White Sox and players for about, 2025? So 20 years, right? So we won the World Series in 2005. Since then, Jerry Reinsdorf has just had his foot on the gas, and the big tires are going over our heads. So that is going to do it for this episode. We're going to wrap it up here. For those of you watching right now, make sure you tune in this Friday. We have a new episode of Inside the Fence coming out, the official UFC podcast, the UFC 316, I think it is. Let me get the number right.
I think you can pull it up for me.
UFC 316 is this Saturday. It is Davishali versus O'Malley. Matt, you're watching. Matt's 100% watching. Caleb, are you going to tune in?
Have you heard of Austin 316?
The UFC a little bit this weekend?
Money in the Bank is this Saturday as well.
Austin 316? What are we talking about? But make sure you tune in to Inside the Fence on No Game Schedule, coming on No Game Schedule's exclusive YouTube channel and Spotify this Friday night. So make sure you tune in to that. For myself, Caleb Bernard, and Matthew Lansky. We thank you oh so very much for watching, and have a good rest of your night. Matthew?
Podcast out.